Hello and welcome to Viewer Polls. I'm John Martiki. And of course, you all know on Viewer Polls, we discuss issues that affect the society, the country, and of course, Africa at large to see how developmental goals can be achieved with people that have substances and people that are actually doing wonderful things in the society to propagate good living. And of course, today on Viewer Polls, I'll be celebrating with an entrepreneur with me in the studio, and of course, Nigeria will be turning 61 in days to come. And on that side, our topic today is the Nigerian state of economy, of which I have an entrepreneur with me in the studio that will be actually doing justice to that. Do join me after this break as we start polls. All right, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, as I said earlier, our topic of discussion today is the Nigerian state of economy. And of course, we are also joining there to celebrate Nigeria at 61. And I'm not alone in the studio. I have a professional, of course, an entrepreneur, talking about Mr. Ernest Ogbebo with me in the studio. We'll be doing justice. We'll also be looking at the journey so far, the difficulties Nigeria is facing financially, and how we can actually improve our economic lifestyle or economic state of the nation, or how to equip ourselves economically and to forward in the difficulties that we're actually facing. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
It's my
very much.
pleasure to
Happy
be
Independence.
here. Happy Independence. What can we say? They say where there is life, there is hope.
Exactly.
So happy Independence is up, even though not much to celebrate.
Honestly, but we thank God we're still alive and we're still moving.
That's why we thank God.
Sir, quickly, can we get to know you before we kickstart the show properly?
All right. Thank you for having me. My name is Ernest Ogbebo. I'm an accountant by training, an entrepreneur, and I'm a business coach. I work with small and medium-scale businesses to enhance their capacity to succeed. I work in the area of accounting, management, and generally business improvement strategies. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, now quickly, the state of the nation. Let me not drag it far. We all know what is actually going on now, what we're actually facing in Nigeria. Now, you being in the sector of the economy where actually things are actually going, from the period, let's look at the country in review from 2015 to date. What has actually changed, and how bad has it been?
Well, talking about the state of the nation, I want to say, like you rightly mentioned, it is clear. Everyone knows that, and there is no argument that we are not where we should be. The tragedy, however, is that we are so far from where we should be, and we are not on the path to where we should be. If you are on the right path, no matter how slow, there will be hope that someday you will get there. But if you are on the wrong path, you will never arrive. And having said that, particularly now speaking about my constituency, let me call it that, the small and medium-scale businesses, and as an entrepreneur myself,
Yes.
the economy is such that you don't even know what to expect. It is a complete state of uncertainty. The only thing that is certain now is the change, and unfortunately, businesses suffer when there is no stability, when you cannot appropriately even plan based on facts, what exchange rate volatility and the inflation rate. It just makes it very, very difficult, almost impossible for businesses to survive. And of course, the spiral effect of all of this is the resultant effect on the economy that is already lying on its stomach is further downward journey.
Now, COVID-19. Now, let's look at. Yes, a lot of things are not actually going the way they should actually go. But now, you being in the field, you being a specialist, what are those things that actually mitigated, that actually brought the economy further? I know we had COVID-19. COVID-19 came in 2020, if I'm right. Now, basically, what do you think people with SMEs need to do to actually tackle this and survive this tightrope economy that we find ourselves in?
Okay, talking about what brought about this level that we are in the economy, I want to say that one cannot actually point out one particular factor as being responsible. But in my opinion, this is my opinion as it were, I think the government have played a major role in this very sorry state the economy is. Number one is we have people in government that are not that don't understand business. It's good they talk about economy. It's very abstract the way they talk about economy. Do they understand business? Do they know what it takes to create value? Do they know what it takes to move your goods or service from one point to another? So we have people in government that are administrators with no practical experience. They don't understand. So even the kind of policies, the effect of those policies, they don't even know. They are only focused in one direction. Maybe they just say we want more revenue. From where? Revenue is not. You can't get revenue just in isolation. We are supposed to be talking about productivity. Then you can talk about tax revenue. You can talk about other things. But you just find local government, state government, and even the federal government driving for revenue without considering from whom is that revenue going to come. It's almost like them looking at killing the geese that lays the golden egg, and when you open it at the end of the day, you will find that there is no egg.
So I've recently there is a little battle between the federal allocation tax collectors and some states in Nigeria. Let me be particular, let me be specific, Lagos and Rivers states. Now, the economy has gone so bad in the sense that there were complaints that there are states that give more than they take. Now, sir, what is your take on this? Has it gone that bad that states and federal are not dragging over allocations?
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very interesting topic for me, but I want to look at it not from the political angle, but to look at it from the angle of productivity, like I said before. And I want to say that it still comes down to the caliber of people we have in government. We have people at state executive councils that don't think of revenue generation. They don't think of value creation. They only talk about distribution. What are you distributing? So we have states and local government that depends only on federal allocation. So the kind of economy, the kind of nation we are running is such that everybody is depending on Abuja for revenue. And it has created such a lazy bunch of administrators for at state and local government levels, even at federal ministries, parastatals, and the rest, that they are not creative. They don't think about how to create value. Oil money is there, it just comes, we share it. No, somebody somewhere generates the VAT revenue, another person's job is, there is no motivation to be productive. That is how I can summarize it. If I can sleep in my house from morning till night and get food at the end of the day, why should I wake up and get on the streets, get into traffic, stress myself, and all of that? And that is exactly how some of our states are behaving. Talking about VAT collection, who should collect VAT or who should not, my take is very simple. What does the law say? I think it's about time that we start checking these things. Let's look at the law and see if somebody sits down and say, in my opinion, based on what I have read in the Constitution, this should be a state thing. Another person say, no, it's federal. Then let's get it through and hope that we go through the legal process and the Supreme Court will make a pronouncement which will now become the law, and every one of us have no choice but to accept that.
So I think we'll quickly go on a break. When we come back, we're still on the polls. Of course, we're discussing the Nigerian state of economy, and I still have the entrepreneur with me, talking about Mr. N.S. Ogbebo with me in the studio. We'll be right back after this time out. Of course, if you're just joining us, this is the viewer polls, and the topic of discussion this very moment is the Nigerian state of economy. And don't forget, we're celebrating the 61st anniversary of Nigeria. All right, sir, quickly, now the VAT issue that we are talking about. Now, you think the moves that Lagos and Rivers State actually took, is it in line with the developing economy, or is it actually going to affect the state itself and the federal state itself?
Okay, a good question. I don't see how it will negatively affect the economy. Let's understand that the money is still in Nigeria. Whether it is federal government who collects it or it is state who collects it, the VAT revenue, the VAT proceed is still in the Nigeria economy. For me as a business person, it doesn't change anything with me, except the state where I run my business now decide to say we don't agree with the existing VAT law, and they come up with their own VAT law. For example, Rivers State, I think they are talking of about 6% as their VAT rate. Lagos may decide another percentage. Somebody can decide that those things that are exempted from the federal VAT law, no, I don't want to grant exemption to that. Another person can decide to increase the exemption list. There are so many things, but it does not matter. I don't think it affects me as a business person. Whether I pay to Mr. A, Mr. B, federal or state government, is not an issue. My concern really is that it's going to help us, hopefully, to get to a point where we begin to look for people who have an agenda, who know what to do to make every state will be able to survive. States will look inward and generate revenue. Right now, there is no motivation. You generate a VAT revenue of 500 and something million naira in your state in a month, and that same month you are getting 4 billion, 5 billion as your VAT allocation. So why should you think of productivity.
It's actually affecting the economy at large.
Yes, it's not working. Even the state governors who are thinking that they will lose should it now go to states to collect. I don't think they will lose. In the short run, yes, but in the long run, it's going to help them also to become. You grow to a point, you can't be you can't continue to depend on another person. It will bring you to a point where you need to look at what do I have.
In excess, Mr. Ennis, the issue now is the act of VAT collection. States should actually collect their own VATs, and the federal government should also collect theirs. So how do you think this will actually revamp the economy to actually serve Nigerians better?
No. How a federation should work is that if we have a federal law can say that the federating unit should remit a certain percentage of our revenue to the center as contribution to running the federation. That is what I expect. I expect us to get to that point where the states will be stronger. They will have more money, and development and all of those things will now be the responsibility of the states. That's personally what I would advocate any day, anytime. Let's have a weaker or a smaller center, and the states should be stronger. If getting more revenue, getting more money to the state is what is going to bring that strength, I'm all okay. Like I said before, the federal government is not going to lose anything. I believe that the federal government will not lose anything, if simply that many of these things today that are the responsibility of the federal government will now be taken care of by the states.
So now, Mr. Ennis actually raised a point that actually drew my attention. The federal government has been making a lot of effort to see how it will actually help and promote people with small businesses. Now, do you think with this development coming up now, don't you think it will actually affect them, or do you think it will also trigger them to actually work harder to see how they can actually source for funds for the development of the state?
Yes, thank you. Now, based on what we hear on the media, in the media and all the rest, the federal government is coming to support SMEs and the rest of them. I personally don't think that those interventions are actually achieving the purpose, whether they are being deliberately sabotaged or it is administrative, whatever. I know that there are better ways that they could go about that. I am an advocate of, for example, not of government having no business in business. All the government need to do is to create an enabling environment. I don't like the idea of throwing money at SMEs. I'm not advanced. I'm not against maybe grants and the rest, but those monies should be targeted. Now, let me say this point very quickly. I think that the federal government, the way they go about federal agencies and the rest, the way they go about giving money to SMEs yes, is wrong. Look, okay, let me just give you this. Every time they are focused on technical skills, you want to have a fish pond, how to be a mechanic. Those are technical skills. The people you are giving those money, how much of the what we call the soft skills are you helping them with to be able to run business, to know how to run their business, which is what we do. We're looking at the capacity. See, no business can grow above the level of knowledge of the person running the business. The business will take the lead on the growth of that business, will be determined by the level of knowledge, skill, and everything of the managers of that business.
Proprietor, yes.
Yes. So if you focus a little effort into the person, the business will grow. But every time we hear you skill acquisition, what comes with that skill? Somebody can learn what is it called, hair making and the rest of it. It doesn't mean that it will be the thing. The best hospitals are not owned by the best doctors.
Exactly.
The biggest schools you find around are not owned by the best teachers. They are owned by good business people who don't need to be a doctor, but he knows the business in health. And he builds a hospital or he sets up a hospital, and I can get the best surgeon to run that thing. But you think of the business side of it. And all this money government is giving, are they coming back?
Now, at your capacity, you being an entrepreneur,
Yes.
what is the best way do you think the government can actually support the young people that are into solar business, solar proprietary business, the SMEs, etc., etc.? What do you think the government need to do to attack this immediate problem?
First and foremost, just allow these young people to be. Government should allow the young people to be. Let them be able to express themselves. There is too much regulation, there is too much restriction that is not allowing young people. Now, and this is what I also find very, very funny, that we have a majority of our population is young people, but not a single one of them is at the decision-making table. And so, who brings in the thinking, the mentality of the young people when you are crafting policies for the young people? So, we now need to begin to look at it and say, what do the young people want? Ask the young people. Are we asking when they speak, when they place demands and the rest? Do we listen?
Their priorities.
We think we know what the young people want. I'm not sure we know. There must be a way for us to find out what do the young people want. They just want to have an environment where they can be creative. Now, because government, if you don't understand this thing, you shut it down, you kill it. It doesn't affect you, but it's affecting millions of young people. That kind of mentality is because you can't run away from it. We are all getting old, we'll get old. But you must begin to look at the younger people and say, what do they want? Ask them. They will tell you. See, somebody says is doing a program, and you are giving 30,000 to young people. To do what? Which young persons, by the way, are you going to give 30,000 to? Is it for shawarma or pizza? Because these are people who should be controlling billions with their brain. And they have the capacity to do it. It's the environment that is not aligned. There are millions, let me call it millions, Nigerian youths who don't even need the state. They don't need anybody for employment if only you allow them to just have their way, have their say, and do their own thing.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll quickly go in another break. When we come back, I still have Mr. Ernest with me in the studio, and the topic we're discussing is Nigerian state of economy. And of course, we're celebrating Nigeria at 61. Do stay tuned. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we've been having a wonderful discussion with the entrepreneur, talking about Mr. Enes Obubu with me in the studio here. And the topic that we've been discussing is the Nigerian state of economy. And of course, we're celebrating Nigeria at 61. Now, sir, quickly, we're actually talking about the privatizing of NMPC and formula sharing to the host community and how it should be done.
Okay, like I said, NMPC should be privatized. I'm all for that. Nobody will die. Will not die. I don't understand what people are afraid of. It's going to make the first of all, maybe they need to break it down into smaller units,
Okay.
and so privatize them, let them run. The ones that cannot survive, let them die. You don't need to use a life support machine to be keeping any organization alive. NNPC have not contributed anything, according to them, to the federation account in how many years. And so what use is it, except for the people that are feeding fat on it? All right, now privatize it. Talking about the host community share, we came by result of the newly signed Petroleum Industry Act.
Yes.
Well, I have my opinion on that very strongly. The first is the fact that I think the 3% is not fair on the host communities.
Okay.
Because the majority, let me call it the majority, think that the minority can only have their say, but we as majority will have our way. Fairness, for me, is what we should be looking at. It is not fairness based on what the other person can do to you. He may not be able to do anything to you, but you must clear that conscience level. It is purely tyranny of the majority. That is the best way I can describe it, and is what is leading to more agitation for self-determination, agitation for resource control,
and SARS.
agitation for all those are the things that are leading to it. And so we are causing more tension. So the thing is, let's just do the right thing.
The president actually wrote to the National Assembly about the board members. He's looking at the geopolitical zones in the country.
Good. Let's say it's good, but it didn't go far enough.
Now, sir, I want us to actually brush through this, I call it government policies that have been existing for quite some time, the Millennium Goals. We all know about them. It also boils back to the state issue that we were talking about earlier. If the state will be allowed to actually source for funds and actually empower their programs. And I think, will this actually make these programs more effective, being from the primary host, from the state level directly?
Okay, yes. Talking about the development goal, well, we have moved from Millennium Development Goals now to Sustainable Development Goals. I think the Millennium Development Goals ended sometime in 2015 or so. Then by 2020 or so. Okay, by also we started these sustainable development goals. They are all focused on the same thing. It has been expanded from the 8-point agenda of the Millennium Goal to about 16 in the sustainable development. All of them are addressing the same thing: poverty, hunger, education, environment, health, and all of that. Now, to answer your question directly, it should be it should be the state government, which is that arm of government or that is closer to the people, that can drive many of the things that these SDGs seek to achieve. Leaving them at the level of the federal government to drive, which is almost like what we have now, means that they may just end up like the Millennium Development Goals, of which we did not achieve them. All right? Now, that can bring us down to revenue available to the states to pursue all these programs. So even at federal revenue allocation level, we must begin to look at that. And I had mentioned before about devolving some of the responsibilities that the federal government is taking upon itself down to states. Let states take care of that. One of these sustainable development goal, if I'm not mistaken, is a universal primary education also
Yes.
for children.
Yes.
Men, that should be what state and local government should handle. Primary education. That is, federal should not
Interfere.
be coming into that thing. That's my opinion. And that is why many of these programs don't work. Because the distance between who the program should impact and the person who is implementing the program is too far. So,
thank you very much, sir, for your time, and we are grateful. We hope to have more and more of you here in the studio to discuss national issues. And of course, if you're just tuning in, it has been a wonderful moment with Dr. Mr. Ernest Bebo. Of course, he's an entrepreneur and a businessman. And of course, we've been discussing the state of economy of Nigeria. Of course, we're celebrating Nigeria at 61. And of course, we have no other place but Nigeria, and we have no other home but Nigeria. We have no mother but Nigeria. We have to do everything that we have to do to put hands on deck for Nigeria to work for us. Do join us same time, same station, where we'll bring you fresh edition of Viewer Pulse, and happy independence.